Hello everyone and welcome to Girls Stampede on Heavy Cardboard, where we highlight women in the board game industry. And generally we're playing a game while we do a little interview and talk about the experiences of our special guests. But today, since I have Losito from Twist Gaming with me, the idea was that I'm going to steal your joke, and we're going to play a twist on Girls Stampede. And today we are going to go over our top 5 of 2020 for board games so far, or ones coming out in the near future of the year 2020. So welcome, and tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi, thank you so much, Jess. I'm really excited to be on the show. It's really exciting for me. I think it's really cool that you're doing this. I remember when you did this back with Julie for the first one, and I was like, oh, you did this cool show. I'm so excited for you. Hurrah. You're like, do you want to be on it? I was like, yes! So Twist Gaming is Twitch's first partnered board game streamer. We focus on interactivity. We run a lot of shows that are interactive with the audience. So my business partner, Josh, he's a computer programmer. He's also a giant nerd with a giant love of board games. He's the one who introduced me into board games, and kind of took those two things together and built a way for our audience to play a lot of games with us. And so our cornerstone game, obviously, is Kingdom Death Monster. That's probably the game that we're most well known for. It's not my cup of tea. You'll very rarely see me on that show. We also run a game called Madara, The Unintentional Malum Act 1. So we're running that campaign, where also the viewers get to play along at home and hive mind one of the characters there. We do spotlights, kind of review sessions on games, things like that. I think that's kind of, Jess, where this came from, was kind of like this is the closest thing I've gotten to a spotlight since everything's kind of shut down.
True.
So,
Yeah.
But that's the interactivity, kind of trying to connect the board game industry with the audience, or bring people together.
Very, very true. I mean, what Twist Gaming does to me is really unique, because you are bringing people in to play with you. They're helping making some of the decisions. They can kind of second guess what you're doing. You even sometimes have them play a character, right? And they get to kind of activate that character, have it go out and do things based on suggestions in the chat. And that's really unique to me, and especially on something like Twitch, really a great way to interact and bring people into those games. So
definitely, Madara is a really great example of that. KDM, the characters really rotate, so it's a lot more of dice rolling. We program the game-specific dice into our overlay, so it's very interactive with the dice rolling. It's not just like RNG 1 through 6. It's here's the dice face with the feet or the hands or whatever. But with Madara, that's a campaign game where one of your players has a dedicated character for the most part, with exceptions, and Twitch is controlling, for those who are familiar with the game, Nightingale. And so Twitch gets to control the character build, the character items, the character move decisions, the character's roles, the character power choices. So I think that the COVID has put us in a position where a lot more people in the board game industry have had to jump into making interactive play and online play.
Right.
And we've been doing it for 4 years. And I think it's really exciting to see so many more people come over to what we've been, to that interactive live play situation.
Yes. I mean, this is what, you would get to see a demo maybe at a convention. We're not having conventions now. So you really are demoing these games for people and letting them jump in and join the scenario where they don't have to have that rules overhead of a huge campaign game.
Or replacing game night, not replacing game night, but providing an option for game night. So to make it a little personal, I have a garbage immune system. Garbage, really terrible. So when Corona hit, I have not left my house. with a handful of exceptions, haven't left my house. I can't.
Right.
It's not safe for me.
Yeah.
And so usually, and you can see I've got this lovely painter's cloth and my blanket of my periodic table of the elements
I
to
love the
design my
geeky periodic
background.
table. So good.
I had this set up for one of my corporate meetings at work, and everybody was like, "What is that?" Like, I'm keeping it interesting for you guys. And even though we are in the situation we're in, and that I can't go to the studio, I can't go to my friend's house, I'm able to enjoy this gaming online using remote play in the same setup that we're doing now.
Right.
And that's really what Twist is providing. If you don't have that regular group, or maybe it's 8 o'clock at night and you really want to join in on a game, you just got home from work, you've been able to unwind, you don't want to commit so much, you jump on the Twist Gaming, come hang out with us, and we can play.
Yeah. I really love that about what you do. I mean, it just did my top 10 heavy games with Rado on his channel.
I saw that.
And I got in trouble because I haven't played Gloomhaven yet. And I really want you guys to do Gloomhaven. I'm going to have to talk to Isaac about this.
Wait a second. I did not know that about you, Jess.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
And what I did, because you're like, Frosthaven, you should play Frosthaven.
Yes.
Okay.
I know. I promote it heavily. I love the idea of it. And we talked about how the mechanisms in it, this is a game I should really like. The theme and everything that's going on in it. But my game group is wonderful in that I can get 18xx played, or Twilight Imperium. Somebody was asking, they're like, really? She has no problem getting that played? Nope. No issues with big, long, heavy games. But when you come to a campaign, unless we were just going to take a weekend and bang that out, it's not really going to happen in my game group. So we did have a plan in place in February. In March, we were going to start this and allow some people to jump in and out as a character.
Yeah.
Because there's just we don't have a group that can necessarily come every time. So we were going to do that, and then COVID happened. So we have not gotten it to the table. So it's on, my shelf of shame. I own it. My friends own it. We just have not actually played Gloomhaven. I know. So see, this is why I need you to work with Isaac and do this. And then all I have to do is tune into Twist and I'll be playing Gloomhaven. It'll be great.
You can jump in, you can jump out, you can play what you want. There'll be other people playing. I mean, we did get to do Frosthaven, and we did have an interactive setup for that. We got to do some of the dungeons, and that's exactly like you're saying. That's the game that's for it, because Twitch got to play. They got to vote on which character they were going to play as for the dungeon scenarios. They got to do the powers. Josh had set it up for, your pick 2 cards. He had set up the overlay so that you could pick it, and it would pick in the right order. So he puts a lot of work into those overlays, but I think that it really adds value. You've got okay, how do I phrase this? I'm not trying to knock other alternatives. I'm just trying to draw a parallel. So I think that's how this comes across. But you have things like Tabletop Simulator, right?
Yeah.
Which are great, right? You have the board, you have things, but sometimes you get a better feel building the idea of something for a different platform rather than trying to replicate a platform on a different media. Does that kind of make sense? Like, there's a spirit to a board game. So if I can have a mechanism for picking cards or rolling dice, as opposed to somebody replicating the actual board game virtually.
The pickup,
Yeah, sometimes that it's, maybe you're not missing certain things from that replication, and it's a little easier, more efficient if it's done in a different style or format.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
That's, kind of what we try to do.
Yeah, and like you said, you've been doing it for 4 years, so most of the kinks are worked out, but we were talking about, there's always something with live, and you are live as well with your stuff, and there's always something with live.
I don't know. We were talking about it again on Monday. I don't know how after 4 years, every time we go live, the dice bot is down. I don't know what Josh does. I don't know how after 4 years it hasn't been worked, but we'll intentionally go live 15, 20 minutes early as a riff, kind of like this segment, to work out all of the
kinks. You might as well just do it, plan on the early, and I think we've gone the opposite direction. Give yourself more time, try to get it done, but no, maybe the early will be better. We'll try that. So we are here to talk about the top 5 in 2020, and you get to play so many games. Like, we are very lucky. We get to play a lot of games that I thought this would be a great thing to jump into. So I'm going to go first, but if we need to switch it up at all and you're like, oh, I have a good segue or whatever.
I have a disclosure, and
yes.
I just want to make this very spotlighty disclosure.
Yes.
You're right. We do get to play a lot of games, but to your point, like you mentioned, with no in-person, and it's made me really appreciate this more, but with no in-person conventions, just like you guys at home, I personally haven't had the same level of exposure to the new 2020 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jess, like behind the scenes secrets, I was crunching a bit to put together my top 5. So my top 5 are not, oh yes, this is my top 5 that my gaming group have been playing every week. These are my top games that, while crunching, were games that really piqued my interest, or that something that was going to speak to me. So these might not be, you guys, these might not be your top 5. You might not have the same taste as me. You might be like, those are dumb picks. Your face is dumb. Dummy head. I don't have kids.
I love you, man. Same. So I based mine, because it's a good idea to talk about how we composed our list. For me, I did ones that I have played. So these are games that I have played. And then where I struggled was some of the games I've played more actually aren't technically out yet. They may be on Tabletop Simulator right now, and they're coming out this year. They're going to be a 2020 release, but it may be next month and not this month, and I kind of fudged that a little bit. So you may see some games in this list, but I feel like that's always a heavy cardboard variant of, haha, I love this game, you can't get it.
Anna Boo Boo, guess who else has kids?
Yeah. So it is what it is. So, and for some of yours are like, oh, I definitely know I want to play this. This is something that I'm excited about for 2020. So I like that we kind of have that caveat on either side. And are, I've played mine. You're looking at, oh, wow, I know I'm going to love this. Let's talk about why. So
I'm excited to see the discourse that comes out of that.
Me too. I can't wait. But yeah, and so starting with my number 5, I thought you and I were going to diverge more than we were, because my number 5 is Takenya, Obelisk of the Sun. Right?
Thanks for inviting me. Just say bye.
It's over. We're done. So we might as well introduce this one together, because what was your number 5, Anne?
My number 5 was Takenya.
So this is one that we overlap on. So great intro. Our divergent ideals. Here we are with Takenya, Obelisk of the Sun. So I've gotten to play this, and I mean, come on, table presence. Seriously, there's this obelisk in the center, and we're talking, Danielle Tassini and David Turtzi, which obviously, that team up was when they first teamed up with Teotihuacan. Oh, come on. Yes, that
was a fantastic game. It was so new and fresh. Mm-hmm. I think I get to see a lot of games with previews and intros and whatever, and it takes a lot for something to be that memorable for me, especially because we don't get so many of those games to the table. And that was definitely one that was oh man, this is it's a really cool. It's fresh, and I think they've done it again.
Yes, they totally have. And Chip's over here saying that any game that he can play with other humans is where he's going to go with that. So. Yeah.
The bar is about the same level as mine, so high five right there.
Yeah, so anything you can get to play. Now, this one, the table presence being what it is, and how that game comes out, that's a little difficult for long distance gaming. I mean, I'm sure you could maybe set something up on Skype. I know Edward at Heavy Cardboard managed this and got it done, but it's probably not your easiest one to do long distance.
And there's just so many different things going on that I'm sure that in and of itself poses the inherent complexity, to try and keep that's a rough one to do, but that would definitely.
And then the
be
shadows.
an
I mean, just the shadows of the obelisk. And, luckily, that's a great playthrough to watch because Rainer was on that as well. And you can
He's
really,
so great.
yeah. And they had, talk about behind the scenes stuff. They were behind the scenes seeing the entire game set up in an alternate tabletop simulator. So they had two going, and it was pretty impressive what they did so that turns didn't take forever and they could kind of prepare for their turns. That was an incredible feat to get that played. But yeah, so probably not one we would be able to play right now other than a 2-player, and it does play 2-player. So, obviously has solo because it's David Turtsey, but up to 4. So, I mean,
I love games that do something different or unique or put a new spin on it.
So
and
true.
the obelisk concept, like it's just new and fresh, and it's like makes it more interesting and more inviting. And especially with some heavy games, sometimes that becomes intimidating.
Yeah.
And I think like the obelisk being cute and interesting and a focal point kind of makes you think about, I want to see what this thing does, and doesn't make you so concerned about, hey, there's also 900 other things going on at the board that I got to keep track of.
Yes. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, just the obelisk, the way that the shading works. I know that there's one other game that I picked up purely for this mechanism. It's something merchants, and there's a sundial in the middle. So that rotates. And so a little bit of, an idea of this, but if you're looking back on all games and you're like, okay, there's like one other that has this, and then this takes this, and brings it to the 6 gods, and the theme is, part of what you're doing. Yeah, it's a good game. So I'm excited for you to get it to the table when we can finally do this. So
yeah.
All right, that's number 5 for both of us, Takenya, from Board and Dice. Now I think is where we start to diverge. Yes, we shall see. My number 4 is On Mars.
Okay, tell me.
Huge box on Mars. So, I mean, terraforming Mars, obviously. Yeah. We went to Mars and we were able to land there, and then we were using card drafting to terraform it. Well, On Mars, we've made it to Mars, and now we're going to go in and just, create monopolies. We're going to go and, mine it for everything it's worth, create opportunities for humankind to go up there. But we're running industries to do so, and we're kind of making things work as far as what we need up there, which is like water and food and resources. So you're trying to maximize those and complete some missions to, make this a viable place. Completely altruistic, of course, where these companies we're just doing it for the greater good. And creating these opportunity points, and that, Vital Lacerda, it's an easy game.
How does that divert? So from terraforming Mars, you're up there with the corporations, and you're doing a lot of the resource thing. So is this an expansion? How is this diverging?
No. It has nothing to do with terraforming Mars other than the theme. So it's like terraforming Mars was going up there. Yeah, sorry, I'm confusing. It's just, we have these Mars games, right? And so this would be, it's just the fact that it's on Mars. Yeah. So Vital Lacerda decided he was going to take Mars in a different direction, and he created On Mars. And the art on it, tool art, of course, so it's gorgeous. There's a lot going on, though. A lot. And so, because you have these missions, but there's all these other shinies and things that you want to do. And then you might shortchange your missions, and that's not a good plan. So it's balance and making sure you kind of focus. Yeah. I haven't played the solo. This would be an interesting one. It has a bot, though. So actually, again, there's a heavy cardboard video for that. Shucks darn. Yeah, so you could see that. So I'm not too big into bots running when I want to do a solo, so I probably wouldn't do that. But yeah, On Mars, that is my number 4.
Yeah, I have something to look into.
All
right.
You love your math. I mean, you like grabbing research. I know you. You math your games. You could do this.
Speaking of mathing and making lines and charts and figuring out puzzles, I have my number 4.
Which is?
Sherlock Holmes is new consulting detective, their new expansion. Okay, this is not a brand new 2020 game. The expansion is.
Yes.
And just as an aside, when I was going through this list, I was like, I really don't want to like do expansions or rethemes, but there's whatever. Look, I've never played Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, the original game. So for me, this is brand new 2020.
Right.
And so what this excited me about is I really like detective games. I love puzzle games. I love getting in and solving things. I really liked detective.
Yes.
That was really cool. So I'm looking at this game and looking at the website. They already come up with, hey, this is what I really enjoyed is they add in the active advertising, it's remote play friendly. And here's how you do remote play. So now for me being at home, first of all, like it's Sherlock Holmes, it's a puzzle. You and I are in a werewolf Slack game,
right,
which I've abandoned. But the last one that I played, we got to share my spreadsheet with.
Oh God, you killed me. Can I tell you all, she destroyed
I didn't kill you.
Me.
I didn't kill you.
Destroyed. She found me out with this spreadsheet. She figured out that the only thing that was possible was that I was a werewolf. She was right, mind you. And then I'm trying to defend myself. And ultimately I was like, I wrote to Peter. You don't know this yet. I'm going to reveal this to Anne. I wrote to Peter, who's running this from Jelly Bean Games. He's a wonderful human being, and he is running these online Slack werewolf for us. And I wrote to him and I was like, I can't lie to my friends anymore. And he's like, you're fine, you're fine. I was like, it's done. You know I'm caught. He's like, yeah, you're like, and I'm like, and it was funny because some people were saying like, Jess, defend yourself. And I was like, I can't. She's so right that it's like.
You were such a good werewolf. You had done so good.
Up until then.
Oh my God. And then, guys, I went like full, like the conspiracy theory meme. Like I went hard.
It was insane. And I'm trying to think of ways I could knock it. I was like, no, there's not.
And I hadn't told anybody. Yes, I hadn't admitted to anybody that like this is the details. I was like, I'm gonna keep secret who I found somebody out. I'm gonna keep it secret. I'm not telling any of you guys.
Yeah.
And then you came on, and then you were like this, that, and the other thing, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna sit back and let.
You did. You let me walk into it too. You're so mean, and I was like, I'm done.
Terrible, but I love that. And with Sherlock Holmes,
good.
like I like the fact that, okay, so if you have remote play, here's another one where you're using components. Interestingly, it's not necessarily the traditional board game thing. It's the map, it's the directory, it's the puzzle cases, and the ability to play it remote play. I know I'm stepping away from the traditional face-to-face board game, but I think that the spirit of the human-to-human interactivity with solving something kind of in the board game is still there. So yeah. I'm happy with this one. If the new expansion like leads me to the old game, then that should be a 2020 thing to be excited about, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, sure, any detective type thing, anything that you're like searching through, I love that too. So yeah, this is definitely one to check out. All right. Are we ready for number 3?
I think so.
Are we? Okay. So my number 3 is Mini Express. And so it follows after Mini Rails. Mini Rails was the first iteration of this. So this is the second in the series. It changes up Mini Rails a lot, obviously, because it's its own standalone second game. And I've actually played Mini Express for a while now. While they were designing it, I got to look at it in some of its playtesting phases, and it changed a lot. And I'm really happy with where they landed with the final version of Mini Express. So again, you're backing different trains. It's a train game. You're doing some routes. You can invest in your train companies, you do everything by working with your influence in the different train colors. So each company has a color, and if you go up, then you could maybe spend some to go into the company on your turn. The spend is based on how many trains are available, so you kind of need those used to build routes in order to then be able to afford it. So there's a balance there of like, do I want to pull down my influence here, which is going to impact my scoring, in order to invest in this other company, or do I want to build, or if I build, am I helping the person next to me? Which that's your huge conundrum, because you're like, I really want to build this. That's super going to help me. But that leaves one train left, and that means they only have to pay one to get a stock in that, and that helps them, and I don't want to do that. So there's a lot of if-thens, buts. Yeah, there's a lot of decision-making in Mini Express. So it's kind of your mini lunchtime run of a game. It's Matt Gertz is the designer, and the runtime, 30 to 45 minutes seems about right.
Oh.
Yeah, you could definitely run this on the lunchtime. I've played with 3 people, and it was pretty quick. Depending on, you can AP a lot, so, but the fact is, it's kind of AP with no benefit. Like okay. It's about thinking about what your opponents are going to do or how it's going to help them, and then you just have to kind of go with it. So you can definitely, especially for experienced players, you can get this even at the max player count of 5 players. You could probably get this into a lunchtime. So.
That's really interesting. My AP, as you're explaining this and the decision points, is like both super excited because you've got that bit of that puzzle, like figuring out how to optimize things.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm definitely the person that makes a 45-minute game an hour and a half game. Long lunch? Guys?
Yes, long lunch, maybe. I think once you see it, though, I even feel like once you've played it a couple times, you'd realize the fact is, I don't know what you're going to do on your turn, and all of this is so player dependent on what, that interaction of what everyone's doing, that, okay, I could take forever, or I could just go with it and hope you do something with me, or do this or do that. And there's also, outside negotiation. You might be like, you help me out. We'll screw them over. It's going to be great.
Yeah. That's how you get left on a volcano island and die.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring that up. I did do that. So where was that? That was Origins too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
With Tony. I forget which game that was.
The volcano game. So it was Arcane Wonders, and they had a volcano game that came out, and Twist Gaming was nice enough to have me on as a guest. And then I teamed up with Tony, never team up with Tony, and left Anne on a island by herself. Yes, because you could blow up tiles.
Should start playing now.
I'm sorry. This is another meme I'm going to create. I was not nice. It was bad. But in my defense, I thought you were really my only competition. Sorry, Tony. I have to block you a little bit. And then I didn't see what Tony was planning, and he killed us both. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So
it worked. He was the one explaining the game. It didn't count. It was the first time I had played it. So
bad teacher.
That's the learning.
Tony is a bad teacher.
Doesn't he know you're supposed to let everybody else win when you teach? No, this Mini Express looks really interesting. It's definitely something, Jess, that would be up my alley to check out.
Yeah, I think you'd like it. Especially, you could play it with the kids, too. And that's the thing. This is one you could intro. You'll hate it because then they'll try to annihilate you, of course. But at the same time, you can totally play it with them. They would love it. All right. So we're on to your number 3.
Okay.
What do you got?
So my number 3 takes our conversation a little bit of a different direction from trains to the OP's The Batman Who Laughs Rising. And again, I had a whole thing about I'm not going to do reskins, I'm not going to do expansions, I really want, and I just, look, guys, my top 5 went to poop. So that's what it is.
That was the original plan. We can always adjust.
we're going to do it live. This is what happens when you do it live. You go in with one intention and you diverge and you just run with it.
Yeah.
I love the Rising series. I loved it when they started with Thanos Rising. I was actively upset that Star Wars Rising wasn't going to be a US release. We got to play the Harry Potter, the Voldemort Rising game. That was really cool. The concept behind this game, Andrew Wolf helped, design this. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. And I like the OP does a lot of work with IPs, right? But the version of the Batman that they chose for this game is so dark from the Dark Knight Metal comic series, which I have no idea what that is, but I said it with confidence to make you guys think like I did.
Yes.
Is just such a really cool choice. It's not your typical 1970s, Adam West Batman series. It's not your typical, more pop culture common Batman. They went with a really cool alternate universe and a really cool spin on it. And I think Harley Quinn and the Joker have become really popular after
all right, so they're in chat talking about the fact that the T-Rex here has a bow.
She's adorable.
Yes, but they're like, how'd she get the bow on?
With tiny T-Rex hands.
Tiny hands?
Because you've never seen the T-Rex.
Girls help each other out, right? It's because girls help each other out when they're not leaving each other on a volcano island. They do sometimes help each other out and put bows in each other's hair. This is the thing.
So Josh I tell him he's got tiny T-Rex arms.
Yeah.
And so for Christmas, I bought him the grabber with the T-Rex mouth so that he could grab stuff on the table for the board.
I have that. Of course I do.
I hear Muttley in there laughing. That's exactly what that laugh is.
Yes, that's totally, you're Muttley. So no, exactly. I have that exact same thing. I haven't pulled it out on a stream yet because I tried to use it to move pieces and it was not super great. Like I couldn't, but yes, I have the T-Rex. Of course I do. Josh and I are like the same person. Do you ever hear that? Like you always have two people in your life that are like the same. And for Anne, it's Josh and me. Like we're just,
I love it.
And then we write because like he's into Lego as well. And we'll we're the same person. Short arms. I mean, come on.
It's beautiful. Yeah, like I think that after the Harley Quinn movies, Batman, I think that both Marvel and DC have become much more popular mainstream. This is me gonna go a little into my nerd card, and my nerd card's quickly gonna get revoked. Matt, our other partner, Matt Koza, he is super into comic books. He is like my go-to when it comes to comic books, and he's really taught me a lot because I love learning about this stuff. And but I do have a little bit of the DC and the Marvel behind that. My dogs are Harley and Jack.
Yeah, I mean you're definitely a fangirl for this. Now, which one leads though, Marvel or DC?
I think it's Marvel.
See, this is where we diverge. I'm totally a DC girl. So much.
I grew up with Batman. My uncle was a huge Batman fan, but I think it kind of fizzles out a little after that. Don't kill me. Zatanna's really cool. I like her backstory. Teen Titans was really cool. I really loved that, the animated series.
Yeah.
But like Guardians of the Galaxy, pre-Guardians of the Galaxy, like, Buckethead.
Yeah.
Like that's where I think that the things that I love. So, but I love that they didn't perpetuate when they made the IP choice for this Rising game, they didn't perpetuate the typical Batman. And I really think this is a fantastic way to advertise in a more mainstream way that there are these alternate universe characters. Yeah. And look how weird and strange they can get. Yeah. With the Batman that's half Batman, half Joker, and they're trying to come into our reality. So this is definitely a little dark. The Rising games are just cool. Like if you've never played any of the Rising games, it was the Thanos Rising the year it came out. That was the Twist Gaming across the board. Josh, Matt, and I have very different tastes in games. Mm-hmm. It was our number one, the three of us. It's a really great game. The solo is really great. The co-op is really great.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Thanos Rising was a blast. I got to play it with one of the designers and Fel Barros, who's a developer for and designer for Simon Games, and we had so much fun with it. The experience for that one has lasted us years now. We still talk about it's cooperative. But if Fel and I play a game together, we're going to make it competitive in some way. So it became like who saved more of the heroes, like which or got more of them out, like that mattered. And he then said at the end somehow Captain America counted twice. It didn't.
What?
Yeah, at the end he's like, no, I mean clearly Captain America accounts for at least 1.5, so I win. And I was like, nah, we tied. So yeah. So he still will throw that up at me, like he'll be like, oh. Did you win with Captain America, though? like he's still worth the same as everyone else.
Cool job with your alternate rules, dude.
Yeah, right at the end. We always did that, though. So Thanos Rising does give you that opportunity. I was really surprised by it for a cooperative game. That's not usually my cup of tea. But I think
that's a lot. Matt is that same way. He doesn't really like cooperative games. He's really good at cooperative games that are cooperative until they're not.
Right.
So, Volcano Island. So I think that, Thanos, the Rising games, while they are co-op games, and I think co-op games sometimes seem the players are a little OP in co-op games, the Rising games provide you with that appropriate level of challenge.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not the game that you're going to pick. I think in co-op games, like, sometimes you're like, I'm going to win one way or the other. In this game, it's not, we've lost so many times, but it's not the loss that makes you want to flip the table. It's the loss of like, okay, we got to come back and we got to do it again.
Try it again. That is a really good point, because I've been talking about cooperative games and what I do or don't like about them. It's not a universal. There are definitely cooperative games that I will play or like. And I think it absolutely is about the challenge. If it really is hard to beat the game and we all have a role to play or something we need to do on our turns, that we have to figure out. Obviously, for me, it also still is player dependent, because I did mention when I did the top 10 with Rado, I mentioned that I'm struggling with myself in a cooperative game not to tell everybody, oh, don't do that because that's not going to be the best move and there's this point. And so I always have to kind of, and I'm aware of it, and I won't do it. So, know that if you play a cooperative game with me, I will keep my mouth shut. I'm very aware that I will do that and be the quarterback, cooperative player, and I just don't. I keep my mouth, you'll see it, I'll wince. But I won't say anything because I want everybody to have their say and make their own decisions. And it doesn't mean we're going to lose. Like it still can play out. I'm just always about, min-max, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be, okay. But yeah, in these, you're so much worrying about what maybe powers you have or what you can do on your turn, what you can hit with, that it becomes more of an experience where everybody has a role to play, where each person can see like, okay, now I'm going to go with this. And you're paying so much attention to your own. There's enough for you to do that then you're not just like, oh, you should. And so it doesn't become such a struggle for me. So I think that's part of it.
I do think
that.
The role to play is perfect, right? Because I think that the players that you choose, they did a good job designing the variable player powers to be complementary.
Yeah.
So I think that you put that perfectly, that everybody in this game has a role to play.
Right.
So when you're doing group strategy, it has to be like, okay, you get utilized to do this, or we're really good at or this thing. And because you get to pick and it's not a random draw, or however you do house rules for your characters, you're often going to find everybody's got different play styles.
Yeah.
And there's so many various different characters. You'll find the role that you feel like you're really comfortable with in your team, I think.
True. Yeah. Yeah, and then you can even, there's so much replayability there, because once you get that, you could try something new. Depends on whether there are people you're playing with. So, yeah, you got me excited about this one. It wasn't even on my radar, and now talking about it, I'm like, that's right, Thanos Rising was super good. They do a great job with IPs. And that's one of the things I'll segue to right now before we get to it. Like, I have definitely a prejudice about IP games, because they're not always good. And it's like the book to movie type thing, right? I always prefer the book, and is it going to be a letdown? Like, I have my visualization of this, and then you play the game and you're like, really? That's not how I saw that. So there's another one coming out this year that's based on Coraline, the other mother. And gosh, I love Neil Gaiman and I love Coraline, and I'm like, please be good. Please, please be good, because I want to play you.
I want you to. I think that with the OP, they do have a lot of classic games like Monopoly and Risk and what have you, where they have put IPs on and they've adjusted it some. We did Five Nights at Freddy's Risk. I think that was one that, and I played the Zelda Risk too. I do like that. I think that they make an effort to customize the classic gameplay to the theme.
That's true. Like, Star Wars Risk is, to me, the best Risk. Like, that's an amazing Risk. So, and they changed it up. So
Clue. I said Risk, I meant Clue. Just
okay, you're talking Clue. Okay,
I will get bashed on the internet for that.
Clue? No.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah. Okay. And
I was like, you had me. Now they need to create that, because I was like, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's Risk. What? I'm gonna play that.
Yeah.
So OP, let's make this happen. Like,
well, with Rising, they had an original game to start with.
Yeah.
So like, they weren't beholden to a classic set of rules, and I think that that's what really let them marry an IP with a gameplay.
Yeah.
Hopefully Coraline's the same.
I hope so. It's all about the design. Like, if they get a good designer to really go in there and try to think about that IP and the concept and bring it in, then it will be. So, where's Andrew Wolf when you need him? He's excellent at that. He really dives in and then brings it in. He did the Harry Potter expansion, plus the 2-player Harry Potter, I think, as well. And Thanos Rising, of course, that we're talking about. So, all right. So that was your number 3.
Yes.
We're to my number 2, which, full disclosure, it's not out yet. It is on Tabletop Simulator for some final playtesting plays. And I have done work and I'm currently doing work with the publisher. So I am above the board. Don't take my word for it. You're going to have to play it for yourself. But to be completely honest, this has to be in my top 5. I love this game. So this is Pax Viking. Yes, we're Vikings. I mean, come on. I want to be a Viking. This is amazing. If you look at Board Game Girl on Facebook, I have a Viking helmet. Like, in my Animal Crossing island, I have Viking helmets on the wall. I have a thing. I like Vikings. So this is important to me. So you get into Pax Viking, and this is their intro to the Pax genre. The idea is to have this game be an easier entry point to learning kind of the things that are involved in a Pax. And, you're moving across this map, you're using your long ships, you learn a little bit about history.
What is Pax at the core?
Pax. So there's like Pax Transhumanity. You're using kind of a tableau. So you have your tableau, and then you have usually cards in Pax Viking. They're discs that you're using that come out, and then you put them in different locations on the board, and then you can activate them in different ways using your long ships, and you battle with each other. Pretty much that's the idea. There's Pax Premier. Same thing, uses a tableau. You can go over onto other people's tableau, battle with each other with your spies, or even try to blow up their things in their tableau. Same thing. So you're going to be doing that type of interaction with a historically based theme, and trying to be, again, so it's thematically immersive, because what you're doing is calling back to what the Vikings did back in that century, and all of the trade that they did, and travel. And and you have different events that come out that are key to it. One of the things I like best about it wasn't even part of the original design. They have 4 victory conditions that come out, and there's different ways. And again, I was talking about like they're trying to make it an entry level to this type of game. So you can have it all be easy victory conditions. You can have it be standard. You can have it be, a higher level. You can have it be a Colundian level, which is a call out to Phil Eklund. So it's like really, really hard. Or you can have it be one of each to maybe balance it out so that if you're playing with a newer player, maybe they go for the easy one, you go for a harder one, that type of thing. So there's a lot of ways to balance this to kind of teach these mechanisms to newer players, which I think will be really good for bringing people in to the PAX games. Because, one of the things I hate is playing heavier games. Often I hear at conventions or when I see people, or when I did see people, they would be like, oh, you play such heavy games, I could never play those. And I'm like, you can. Yes, you can. There's no reason you can't. It may take a little bit of a time investment. You may want to do some balancing for experience level, because there are games that are going to have an experience differential. But there's no reason that you can't learn these games. And especially even if it's a build-up. If you're gaming regularly, you're learning these mechanisms throughout a whole myriad of different games, and you can use that. And that's what they're trying to do here, is teach those basic mechanisms so that you can then use it to ramp up to some of maybe the more intricate or the packs that have even more strategy than this one can. But again, I said you can kind of balance it out. So I've had a great time with it. Obviously, I am completely biased, and I'm putting that out there to everyone. But I never ask anybody to, don't back it because I said so. You should go look at it and see if you like it, and see if it's something that's going to be good for your game group, right? What do you think about that, Anne? I'm always shocked that people would, don't just go with what I say. You should...
It's okay. So I have two thoughts, unrelated. My first one is about the game, and then I'll answer your question first. Then I have a thought about the game. So when it comes to following people or backing things based on somebody's word, I think that's a terrible idea. I ask so many questions. I love questions. I love learning. It's genuinely the thing that drives me in life. And so I think that in my position of reviewing games or previewing games or looking at games, my job is to sit and ask the questions so that you can hear the answers and relate them to yourselves. But Jess, you know so much, and people are going to rely on things you say because you know so much, you have such experience. But people should also first be like, I know Jess. I know she knows a lot of things. Do I associate myself with her? Do I, with knowing her and knowing her tastes,
yes,
which are so different for everybody. If I love a game, and I think that's what I said at the top of 5, just because I love a game, you're not going to love it too. But maybe you're like me. Maybe you're super into puzzles. Maybe you're super into your AP. Then, let me have your ear, girlfriend to girlfriend. Let me have your ear. Let me tell you what I really like. Let me show you the things that I think are really cool, and then go check it out for yourself on top of that. So, but the other thought is about scalability, and it's so relevant. So stepping outside of board games for a second, my current addiction has been a video game called Ark, which is a survival game with dinosaurs. Jess,
how do I not know about this? I need to play. Yay!
All sorts of dinosaurs. You have no idea the amount of time I've spent on this game. It's couch co-op, which is also fantastic, but the couch co-op screen is terrible split screen. But so me and Aaron and I have been playing on 2 different TV setups in our house, playing co-op. But the original one is based on a whole bunch of different kinds of real dinosaurs. Anyway, my son, my little one, has been playing it because he thinks it's cool too. And one of the things that we were talking about is this is a survival game where within the first 10 minutes of playing a game, you're going to die. I think that this is one of those things where the game developers really want to drive home that point. It's not meant for you to always be lived. It's meant to be a challenge. But when you're logging into this game here, before you even hit log in, there's a whole server setting section. So you can adjust a whole bunch of stuff for the game to make it to be custom to the level that you want, the level of challenge that you want. So I think with Pax Viking, that's fantastic. I love games which provide that scalability.
Yeah.
Man, maybe I'm really good at this thing. Maybe I'm not so good at this thing. Maybe I just kind of want to play this and enjoy it and breeze through it. Maybe I'm feeling like I really want to challenge. So the fact that that PAX gives you not only like it's an intro into a heavy game, but also gives you that scalability.
Yes.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm excited about it, because I do, and especially this year, this has been a weird year. Usually I have kind of this core game group and we're playing medium to heavy games. And then now I'm home more. Now I'm with the kids and I want to play games with them, but I still need to learn these games. And this is one that totally scales that way, where now your core collection can be, you know, I'm almost looking at games in my collection and saying, what does everything, right? Like what can serve this purpose and serve that purpose, play at game group and introduce to new players and, you know, play with the family as well. And this is one that kind of has that breadth of, you know, however you want to set it up. So
that's a good point too. I'm thinking of like personal experience, but introducing your game group to a game, that's another fantastic use for scalability on a game.
Absolutely.
Like, hey guys, let's do the teaching round. Let's do it on the easy setting. Then, you know, if your game group, let's ramp it up to max.
Absolutely.
Let's turn it up to 11.
Yeah, turn it up to 11. Absolutely. So that is mine. What about yours?
Okay. I need to do a wardrobe change, and I have a headless thing for this.
I love this. There's a wardrobe change. Oh, I have to get my hat out. I have a little. We're on your number 2 now.
Yes.
Number 2. Let's see.
Okay. So when
I love that you're changing your shirt. Just slightly off screen. It's fine.
When this game came out, I went and bought this shirt.
Yes.
Look, I'm rocking that 1990s. I don't even look like we could pop the collar.
Pop the collar. There you go.
We're gonna do that again. When this game first got talked about, when it was first coming out on Kickstarter, I was periodic table is a blanket. My throw blanket. I know there's a lot of questions.
That is, and Pax Viking is from Ion Game Design, and the designer was Yoon Menker. So that is who Pax Viking is from.
I had this shirt made. I contacted the designer. I was like, look, your game puts together the 2 things that I really love. Rap music. Yes.
Yes.
And board gaming.
Yes.
Yes. Omari has knocked it out of the park with this game. Like I had got him before he was on Kickstarter. Look, I feel so, what do they call hipster about this? Like, yes. I knew about it before.
I knew about it before. It was cool.
I got my custom potato quality shirt made of my
oh my gosh, that's so good.
That's so great. This is Run the Jewels, which is a rap band.
Yep.
Their logo. And here's my rap gods.
Yes. And I got this too. So I am right there with you. I did not know about it before. It was cool. I jumped on the bandwagon when everybody was doing it to support the Black Lives Matter. A lot of donations were being made. And I was like, all right, this seems great. It's a board game and donations. I'm all about this. So yeah, I jumped in with that. But I was pleasantly surprised that this is a solid game that my kids still beat me at. But
it's seriously, and I'm so excited that this is the game that was used for fundraising for Black Lives Matter, because sometimes you support good causes that are important because you want to support the good cause, but sometimes the things behind it maybe aren't, you wouldn't have supported otherwise. Rap Gods is a great game. It was a great game when I got to see it in the prototype version. It's a great game after the tweaks that they made after the prototype version. On top of that, Omari is a fantastic person. His brother who did the art for the game, they're really great, fun people, super nice people. And they, you know, they came out with a game about something that they're passionate about. And, you know, what we got to talk about is there's not a lot of, it's rap music and board games kind of, I think, are thought of as two very different demographics. People who are into rap music and hip hop come from a very different demographic than people who are into board games. You've got people who are into board games who are nerds. I say that because have you met me?
Yeah.
And then you've got people who are, into rap and they're kind of gangster, little thug. Look, let's talk. Like I grew up in the Miami street racing scene. So I've been
Did you really? The Miami street racing scene. That's amazing.
I got stories.
I'm going to be asking you about this later. This is great. All right.
It was a lot of fun. Rough Rider, but yeah, okay. Anyway, I love learning, right? And I think that that's what it comes back to. So whether it was learning about one world or learning about a different world, I loved learning about people and their interests and the things that they liked. And there were other things that attracted me to anything as well. And where these two worlds, quote unquote, converge, I find that there are a lot more people like me who have these same kinds of interests. And to see them come together and done well is just very special to me.
Yeah.
So that is my wardrobe change worthy.
For number 2. I love it. And I love that there was a wardrobe change. This is the first show I've hosted with a wardrobe change, so I'm really excited about this. I mean, the things that they did in here to make it thematic, the fact that your chain gets longer as you're building up your cards that you're playing, come on, that's amazing. Take that's in it. And Omari wrote an amazing article that was in the Manifold, actually, which is a board game media coverage outlet. He talked about how there was unfairness in the game, and that, you could maybe start out at a detriment with those asymmetrical player powers. Maybe you don't catch up, and that's okay. Like that, he wasn't going to change that. So there's a really interesting article on that if anyone's interested in seeing his thought process for how he came at the game. And then one of my favorite things is at the end, you've built up this entire tableau, you've played these cards, and my 11-year-old son, after we were done, I neglected to do the best part, which is the winner has to read through what they did. And he immediately looked at me and said, well, it'd be really good if we went through and I was like, okay, you're right. And he won. So I was like, you go at it. And he loved it. He's like wrapping it to the end. And that's one of their favorite things. They want to win, not even because they won, but so they can wrap what happened to them and what brought them to the top. So to create a game like that, where even like the winning condition is its own element in the game, talk about things that are new and haven't been done before. No, I got nothing. There's no other game where you go back through everything you played and wrap your rise to stardom as like your key rap song. That's incredible. So it's well done.
And I think that even, we talk, the theme is all through the game, right? So we're talking about, your win condition being wrapping it, and we're coming back to the theme. The board for this game, albeit in the prototype version, the design made it a little difficult to see some of the track. Woo! Hey now.
Moving in and out.
Keeping it 3D.
Yes.
The board, having it be, the vinyl track was such a cool design element to it, to have it be the record, right?
Okay. Yes.
I just like the components and pieces. I thought that was it's just really, the events that happen in each of the cards kind of poke a little fun at what happens as you're becoming a rap star. I know from personal experience.
Yes. As you were working your way up the Miami street racing scene as a rap god, you did This is fantastic. I love hearing this. I mean, we all had our favorite rap songs or groups or genre. I mean, rap is an amazing, amazing art form. So I
get back to storytelling, right? Like I really love storytelling.
Yeah.
Rap. I think that's one of the things I love. Run the Jewels. That's probably one of my favorite rap duos right now. LP and Killer Mike, and they are really good. They became they had released, I know I'm kind of going on a tangent, I apologize, it's what happens when you do things live. They had released an album around the time of the George Floyd movement, and a lot of their songs were recorded way prior to it, but were so socially appropriate being released at the time. And that's the kind of music that they make. And I think that's where rap really shines, is where they hold a flashlight at society. And other kinds of music do it as well. But I think that people have a preconceived notion about what rap music is. And maybe some people, I'm totally generalizing. Like, don't even, like, I'm not
no,
even.
I'm totally going to throw out that, I mean, there was the whole, I'm listening to a podcast right now, influenced by Edward, that is actually on Two Live Crew. And the lawsuit against them, where it was going to be obscene music and you couldn't sell it or you'd go to jail, like it became a huge thing. And, you know, Sheriff Navarro going after them. And that's actually what they proved at the Supreme Court level. They proved that this music was anti-racism, and that it was actually, you know, freedom of speech, and that they were actually trying to fight against those stereotypes that Black people had to deal with and face, and that racism that was forced upon them, and in how rap music became their outlet and their way to fight back, and that no, you can't call that obscene. And so that in hearing about that entire thing on the podcast, and I don't remember the podcast, I'll ask Edward to throw it up there in chat, but it was an incredible thing to listen to, that journey of Two Live Crew and how they ultimately became the ones who fought against that and explicit lyrics and such. So yeah, I think you're exactly right, and there's an entire podcast to back you up on that.
So my hope for this is that Omari was able to penetrate the board game. Look how Run DMC he looks. I mean, yeah. I hope he was able to, and it was done so positively. I think that's the thing that I really liked. Like even though the art, some of it's a little tongue in cheek, some of it's a little funny, it's not making fun of rap. It's really introducing, I think, the theme on a really positive note.
Well, that's how it helps you identify, right? Like, one of the cards in there is like, you know, oh, my aunt discovered how to listen, you know, to my album on Spotify, so I got 1,000 likes right away, because you know she's sitting there like just like, or 1,000 views. She's like just repeat, right? She's just watching it, which pumps your views up, and you're like, yay, thanks, auntie. Like,
so it's so good. I saw there was another game for an aside called Bye Felicia, and I caught the title and I saw
that. I was like, I'm going to have to check that one out, because, you know, Bye Felicia. But also, so they have Hoop Gods coming out right now, too. And I know they have some scheduled plays of it this weekend for Board Game Brothers. So if anybody wants to check out Hoop Gods. As far as a reprint, my understanding is, yes, there's going to be a reprint of Rap Gods, because obviously it completely sold out. I don't know the timing on that. And I know they're working on Hoop Gods right now. So that's another one.
At mine. In the meantime, my Kickstarter, you can look at it.
You can see it. Yes. And I have mine too. And yeah, my kids love it. They're like, all right, let's pull that out and play it again.
And I think that's really cool too, is that you can play it with your kids. There's nothing in there that is so very obscene that's going to make you uncomfortable.
No. I mean, there's something about, like, you know, you got your entourage and they're, you know, but nothing they're totally fine. There's nothing in there you need to worry about. It's definitely perfect to play with the family, and it's good. Though they really didn't like, you know, there is take that in that, but the take that has risk. This was actually something I learned. My kids weren't really aware of, didn't understand that they were going to do the take that of doing a brawl with somebody, or beef, it's called, that they had to roll the dice, and that could not go in their favor. So even though there's take that, you're risking yourself as well, because you're all rolling dice. And the person you're starting the beef with, you know, the person that's on the receiving end, they only get one die to roll when you get two. But other than that, it still can go sideways. Like, these are just 2d6 against a d6. it can go bad. And so there was like this risk, and they didn't get that. They're like, but I started the beef. How did I lose? I'm like, because you didn't roll well. Like, you can start it and still lose, and that's super thematic. So it taught them a little bit about risk management. They're like, this isn't necessarily a good thing for me to do. And I'm like, no.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Now that you've learned that.
Yes. Now decide wisely. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of things in that game. So nice. You're number 2.
I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
So my number 1, you brought up dinosaurs. So of course there's dinosaurs. Dinosaur table battles is my number 1. It's a Hollinsfield game. It is based on table battles. So it is, the dinosaur version of table battles. And I adored this. I played this and just wanted to play it again and play it again. And there's definitely things that work together in a way that make them overpowered. So you need to take those down if your opponent gets them, because this is a drafting. You draft what dinos you're going to have in the beginning, and then you're just attacking each other back and forth and using the different powers of the different dinosaurs to attack another person. And they can only respond in a certain way, whether it's directly or to protect like your other dinosaurs. So it's a lot of strategy. You really need to understand your own tableau, and you need to understand the tableau of your opponent, because you need to think about how they're going to be able to react or not be able to react. And if they have something that's got a lot of, power against you, then maybe you need to take that out quickly and go after that one. So yeah, and I mean, it's dinosaurs. I bought this one immediately. As soon as he had orders opened up, I immediately went on and bought it. And I wanted to support this project too, because Mary had wanted a dinosaur game out of Tom Russell for a long time. He finally did it with Dinosaur Table Battles, and they went all in for this art. They paid a lot for the art that is in this game, and I love it. I think it's really clever art. It's understated, and I don't know how you would think, millions of years ago dinosaur kind of images would look. So I feel like it's really thematic and brings you into the game, and I think it's beautiful. So I wanted to support that, and I am happy to say I love it as much as I thought I would. So this is very highly my top of 2020 right now, especially in a time period where it's a lot easier for me to get a 2-player game to the table. This works well for that.
So what kind of dinosaurs are in the game?
Oh, so many. The T-Rex. I forget. I'm trying to recall which one has...
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay. There's one that is like kind of overpowered, and I've forgotten which one it is. But, Ankylosaur's in there, Pteranodon's in there. So you have some flight, abilities like and things that defend each other. Brachiosaurus is in there. So there's a lot of dinos. Now, you're not going to play with all the dinos in a game. You're drafting, and some are out of the game. And then, you go around and pick and hopefully find ones that balance up. And some dinos are large, so they're like 3 cards, and some dinos are only 2 cards. Cool. But you get a limit of the number of cards on your side. I think it's 8. And so you have to kind of manage that. If you get 2 big dinos and a small dino, maybe. But if, you could get 4 little dinos. So it's tricky. You kind of have to pick how it's going to be. And then the tokens balance that out a little bit, because you're basically trying to get your opponent to go out of tokens in your battles. And you start with a certain amount based on the number that you have of dinosaurs, and if you have any of the kind of OP dinosaurs. So that kind of balances the game, and then you start. But kind of similar to you're talking about Rap Gods, is it perfectly balanced? No, and I don't have an issue with that. Like I'll play a splatter game. There's not this whole, you can make bad decisions in this game. You could just kill yourself right away with your draft, and you didn't get dinosaurs that are going to be able to combat because you didn't diversify in what they could do in defense or attacks. So, this is strategy of decision making. You have to pay attention and pick the right things and plan ahead a little bit in what you're doing, or it could hurt you down the line. So yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, now I know what's on my to buy list.
It's so good. Highly recommend.
About how long does it take to play?
Not long. It depends. It could be a short game and you're going to play again right away. You could die in 20 minutes and, or somebody could die in 20 minutes and then, play again, and it could take 40 minutes. So this one's a little bit dependent. It's kind of like Battle Line in that regard, right? Like somebody could do a bam, 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 and you're out in 15 minutes, or it could take an hour because it's slowly going back and forth. But it's going to be under an hour.
Now I have something on my to buy list.
Yes.
I'm really excited. That's really cool.
See, that's the point of these lists. And this is why I like doing collaboration of them, because sure, I could just talk about my top, but I want to hear other people talk about their top and then get these ideas where I'm like, didn't think of that. I would have passed that by. I actually love this. And this is what I think people don't know we do as content creators. Media, we often do this at conventions, is find other content creators and be like, what did you see?
What did you
What's
see? What
good?
was hot? What was interesting? Which booth do I need to make sure I hit out?
Yes, we do this. That is like, I think that's just constantly what we say when we see each other. All right, what's good? What's your top? And yes, back, what's your top? And then, because this is how you don't miss things. I mean, there's so many games coming out. So very many games. And so at this point, we do kind of have to work together and help each other to find everything or know what's out there. And I hope people see that we do, like, I'll be like, I've done so with Twist, right? I'm like, you've got to come look at Frosthaven. You should be streaming Frosthaven. This is Isaac. You guys need to talk. Like, we do help each other out. Make this happen, please. I will intro you. Or even Genius Games. I'm like, you guys come over, look at this game, sit down and play it. You should see it. I think you'll love it. Yeah, that's how, we help each other make some of these connections. You want coverage for the games. That's the point. So.
Well, and I think to your point, right, but just the way even you phrase it, I think that you'll like this. I think that as, behind the scenes as us as industry people, I was kind of professionals, but that makes it seem so much more haughty. As people, as content creators, you kind of know who everybody's kind of their niches, their likes, their dislikes, just like because we're friends. It's a very friendly industry on this side. And so you'll know, man, look, this game is not my cup of tea, but I think you'll really like this, and that.
Yes.
So, and I like seeing that. Like, you and I have that same appreciation for analytical and decision making. So I like seeing the suggestions that you have. But you also are into other heavy games that I haven't had an opportunity to get too far into. So I love hearing your suggestions for that, because it's something to like poke around and learn about.
Right. Exactly. And same, you're looking at this co-op that I would immediately dismiss. And then I hear you talk about it, compare it to another co-op that I really like. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to dismiss this. I really do need to go look at that. So yeah, it's really helpful to get those other perspectives. I mean, I remember being in the SN media room, and it's this, of any media room, the SN media room is ginormous. Like, it's just, think of a convention hall. It's like one of the convention halls. It's huge. And so all the way across, I'd be yelling to like different people, like the One Tar and Steve play games together on the One Tar's channel. And I would yell, Steve was in there because the One Tar was working with Haba. But I would like see Steve all the way across, and I'm like, great two-player. Come here. Yelling over to him, and I'd see other people and I'd be like, oh, you're going to like this one. And you'd kind of bring people in, or like, I'm about to run, they're going to run a demo, come here. And yeah. And that's what people are doing. Or people would see me and be like, did you see the one? That's heavy game down there. Yeah. So yeah, we totally do that. And that's what makes it fun. Of course, I feel like everybody from Europe looks at us and they're like, okay, those are the Americans. We're screaming across the hall and we're like, get over here. Yeah, I don't see the Europeans doing that, but we like to. We're loud.
I mean, I blame my loudness and the lots of hands on being Italian. So, I mean, It's got to be, that's European.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it came from there. We just went in that direction with it. I feel like they're more demure and like professional, and I just get all excited about things. Play games.
But that's what this hobby is so great about. Like that's the best thing about being a nerd is that you can have freedom to be excited about nerdy stuff.
Exactly. Now it's turned the tables. This nerdy stuff that was like not cool before, and you didn't tell anybody that you were going to your friend's basement to play D&D because that wasn't going to go over with the cheerleaders. Like I was like, oh, we're practicing, we're studying.
Well, dude, it's I got made fun of so hard. Like I was saying, like growing up in different kinds of worlds and places. Like I got ragged on for being, I guess this maybe is a segue into my number one, but one of my biggest passions involves lightsabers. And so I got ragged so hard. You're a big nerd. Yeah, and your point. Yes. But like when I congregate with my people are just as excited about this stuff. Like I was saying with the comic books, Matt is my go-to resource. Like I know a little bit, but
you
like
find your people. It's true.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. And Kabuki Kid, I miss when the One Tar would stream regularly as well. Why do you think I kept yelling at Steve to grab new games? I was trying. I'm there for you, KK. I was trying to get the One Tar to stream more.
Content habits.
Yes, come back. Stream. If you've ever seen their video on a roller coaster doing a stream, you need to go find it on the One Tar. It's amazing.
I will watch this and I will not show Matthew or Joshua.
I almost did it. They wouldn't let me. So I was promoting a roller coaster game or a theme park game, I guess I should say, for Maple Games. And I went to Cedar Park, world mecca of roller coasters. And I was going to tape on a roller coaster. They wouldn't let me. So I had to stand outside the roller coaster and tape, and you could see the roller coaster going. But they wouldn't let... I mean, fair. It was like I was going to bonk. I would have hurt myself, I'm sure, but yeah.
I appreciate that. And I think that was a wise decision.
Yeah.
But if you let the boys know, the boys who are the brothers I never wanted,
yes,
know that this was a thing, or give them this idea, they live their lives with the motto of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Again, separated at birth with Josh. Same. This is why we work well together. Remember when I told them to find Pikachu's butt?
Done. Where is it?
They were so happy. I'm like, your job today is to find Pikachu's butt and take a selfie with it. And you were like, I think they just giggled like schoolgirls. They're so happy about this.
They're the worst. That's the worst.
So yes, I live to see it. I want more people to safely take precautions, try not to die, and go ahead and stream from a roller coaster because it's really good.
General life advice, just right there. Try not to die.
Try not to die. Yes, I actually say this to my kids a lot. They'll be like, "I'm going to go to the bathroom now," and I'm like, "Try not to die." And they're like, "I'll attempt it." What? Just be careful.
Yeah, Mom.
Yes. And they'll come back and I'll do the thing from, I forget the name of the movie. You're going to remember it when I do the thing. Where they're like, still alive! Croods. Remember in the Croods every morning? The Croods are like cavemen.
That was the cavemen, yes.
Yes, the cavemen every morning wake up and they're like, still alive! I do that to my kids all the time, especially when we're camping. We wake up and I'm like, still alive! And they're like, should we have been afraid? Like, why?
I get, Mom, you're a bully, and Mom, you're so weird.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that yet. Knock on wood. But I got a 13-year-old, so I'm sure it's coming. It's probably going to come from the 11-year-old first. I don't think he gets me. He's like, what? But for the 9 and 7-year-old, I'm still cool because they think I'm a YouTube star. But the 11-year-old likes to compare our subscriber count to like Ninja, which has like
Thanks
multiple million followers. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I'm trying here. I'm trying.
Thanks for setting the bar high for me, kid. I appreciate it. That was a great boost to
Yeah,
my
I'll catch up with Ninja right away.
get right up on those numbers.
I'd be nice.
God,
I'd take it, mind you.
the kids are so different. I mean, I don't even know if it's an age thing because I get it from the oldest one. The oldest one would be like, so weird. And
Yeah.
it's just the personality, but the little one does things that are incredibly weird. And like Aaron and I will be like, man, that kid is. And then
Yeah.
it's not that I don't know where he gets it from, though,
Right. I
mind
was
you.
gonna say I wasn't saying anything, and I was just like, because that's me constantly, and they'll call me on it now because I've admitted it enough. I'll be like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Being like you," and I'm like, "Fair, not wrong, but stop."
No. I was watching a weird video on YouTube downstairs. There comes out. He goes, "Are you watching a show with David?" I was like, "No, it's all me by myself."
That was
I
just,
know where it comes from.
yes. You're like, that was me. I thought that my biggest thing on YouTube to watch right now is like, and then they died inside, or watching people die inside. And it's a compilation of videos where people just weird, horrible things happen to them. Not too bad, because I don't want people to get hurt. I don't like watching people really get hurt. So they're just more like funny things happen to them. We're going to pull that back. Hi there. When you're typing and you also click on the mouse. Yeah. Getting up
I thought
to
that was your
subscriber
way. That was your
ending. We can't end yet because we don't know what your number one is.
All right, so I don't have a wardrobe change for my number one, but as excited as I am, you saw me get about Rap Gods.
Yes.
I found out that Unlock is coming up with a Star Wars edition. I am so excited for this game. I really love the Unlock series. They are like a figure hand card game puzzle, and they come up with a whole bunch of. They have different themes for all of the escape games. It's like an escape room. I love escape rooms, love puzzles. I don't know if I've said that 900 times yet just during this stream, but in case not, I'm trying to hit my quota. We play this. The guys and I were flying to conventions. This is a perfect game to sit there, even on the airplane tray, and play. This is a perfect game to sit and like pull out. This is an escape room where order does matter, but you can pause it essentially with how you've done your card. So it's not something that needs to be done all at once. This is a game that uses so many different kinds of fun components to allow you new fun ways to solve problems and figure out your clues and unlock stuff. And then there are clues that you can get clues if you get stuck. The Unlock series is super cool. It portable, puzzles, creative.
So good.
It's got everything that I want. And now that they're doing it in Star Wars, guys. It's Star Wars.
Yes. So this Unlock, the entire series, and those of you who follow the show probably know this, but Unlock broke my heart the first year it came out. I went to PAX East, and they had the demo of Unlock, and I sat down, played the demo, and I was like, give me, buying, I want, give me. And they're like, oh, no, I'm sorry, you can't buy it yet. What? And they were like, yeah, it's already in Europe, but we're just showing demos here. Why? Why would you do that to me? I want the game. I want it right now. And they were like, well, you can try looking around, but unless anybody has some shipped over from Europe. So I looked at every booth. I asked everybody, you got Unlock. No one had it. It finally came over, but yeah, it was the one. There's always one game at a con, I think, sometimes that you're like, you can't get or whatever, or at least, when I was just going to cons as, a gamer and I wasn't in industry and getting things beforehand, like there was always something that got away. And that year got away, and I was so heartbroken. And then finally it came out. So I am all for the Unlock. And the fact that this is going to have a Star Wars theme, like I got back into the mainstream hobby with Imperial Assault. So I'm psyched for this. I am really excited to see what this gameplay comes out with, and just like you said, to like geek out on this and Yeah. I mean, I wonder if you and I both are going to overthink this, though, knowing what we know about Star Wars universe. Then we're going to be like, wow, that lightsaber doesn't look up to maybe it's because like I feel like we're going to like make things that aren't there probably. Like this seems off.
Star Wars is one of those IPs that if there are so many people that are so very passionate about it that if you mess with it, you got to do a good job. But they've done a good job in so many of these other games. And I don't know how many more they had that were.
There's so many now of the Unlock. I mean, I'm talking about it when it first came out. I think they came out with 3 in the initial run. And then it was just like boom, 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 because it hit so well.
And each of them has the 3. So like you see on, and you know this, but you see
there's
on
3
the box,
here. Yes.
Right. It's not one puzzle. It's 3 puzzles
3. Yep.
in each box.
Exactly.
And I cannot remember his name, and I feel a little embarrassed. But the gentleman who did the first one, French, you can't remember his name. Also, was a big fan of dinosaurs. When we did our interview, he had a Jurassic Park mug. Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rocky says he's invested more mental energy than he'd care to, thinking of how to make a heavy Fortnite board game. Oh, please do that. Oh, that'd be amazing. Though I will never win on that. A heavy Fortnite board game.
I don't like FPSs or MMOs mostly because I don't like people.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I'm terrible at Fortnite now. I was into it, and I was into Minecraft with my kids when it first came out, and I was good then. Now, my 11-year-old has so far surpassed me, and this isn't bragging. Like, I'll tell you when my kids are dummies and, like, not good at things. I cannot stress to you, I'm not lying or exaggerating when I tell you my 11-year-old is incredible at Fortnite. And, you know, he's a wonderful, wonderful person, but he tends to have difficulty making friends. And I was worried about him in school. No. This boy has so many friends because he's the one they're every day. They're like, can you get on and play Fortnite? Can you get on and play Fortnite? Because they can play in teams with him. He never loses. And then he makes sure the team gets all the things like the lightsabers and the specials and whatever. And he gets many of them because he wins all the time. So he'll just hand them out to friends. So he's everyone's favorite person. They're like, he could not be more of like a god at his school because they're like, we can't, you know, and it's like the one you can't, the kid that you can't be mean to because like they want to invite you to their amazing birthday party. You can't be mean to him because he won't play Fortnite in your group and then you're not going to win ever again. And like, yeah, he's unbelievable. But I can only play in teams with him because if I play against him, I'm dead like that. Like it's just done. And I'm not that bad. He's just that good. So
I grew up playing video games and actually it's a very interesting experience for me because the people I played video games with were my sister and my mother. So as I got more exposure to people and realized people would tell me like games are mostly boys, it was when you grow up and your gaming people are your mother and your sister, and then you go and you play more games and they're like, oh, lots of boys play games, like that my reality versus like the wider,
it wasn't true for you.
Right, it was so weird to me.
Yeah.
And so my son plays, my little one, he was indoctrinated into gaming because this is a generational thing. And he, of course, I'm sure with your kids too, you unplug the controller and give it to them to slobber on. And I remember...
controller.
I remember when I remember the first time I was playing Fallout. And I handed my controller to my son so that he could beat a level for me. And I was like, this
changed.
Is like, yeah.
Yeah, they get to that point. And one of the things was, like, so early on I'm playing Minecraft with my kids, and we beat the Ender Dragon, like, early-ish. Not early like the, premier players beat it, but early for, like, his friends and friend groups for the kids. And they wouldn't believe it. We had to do it again and, like, screenshot because no one would believe it. And I'm like, no, he really did. We went in as a team. We've done it. So we had to prove it because we would team this. But you're right. Similarly, and I hope this is true for my kids, especially my boys, but my girls as well, they know, mom plays video games and is huge into video games and has every console. I have all the older consoles. And for my 11-year-old's 11th birthday, we actually gave him a PS3 and the older Xbox for a reason. I told him, I'm like, I want you to play the older versions of these games. I don't want you to just dive in to what's current. I want you to have history. And, you know, he's pretty serious about someday he wants to be a YouTube streamer of these games. Like, this is what he wants to do. And I'm like, I will help you with that. But I'm like, do you really think you're not going to have cred if you haven't gone back and done these older games in the catalog? So I specifically got him the older ones. And he's like on it. He's like, I will study. I will, you know, learn this. And, you know, he's definitely dedicated to understanding it. And the one of my 4 kids, the youngest girl, she's the one who's like following in his footsteps, watches everything he does. And she's 6 still. She's not even 7 yet. And at 7 can play Minecraft and design things better than any of them were at that age. And I always remind them of that because they'll get frustrated with her because she is still so much younger than them. And I'm like, you guys weren't this good at her age. You need to remember that she's actually excellent for a 6-year-old and cut her some slack. High. But their experience is mom plays, my sisters play, right? Like, this isn't just boys' domain. But honestly, I kind of see the tides turning because even when, you know, I mentioned the 11-year-old has all these people wanting to play Fortnite with him, it's as many girls as it is guys. Like, you know, when he's playing, it's a pretty even mix jumping in there, you know, and I'm hearing him, you know, talking to his friends that are girls just as much as his friends that are guys about these games and diving in there. So I hope that isn't just unique to him, but I am glad that he will have that frame of reference of, no, why would you say this is for guys? Like, my mom's the one who played D&D and streamed it. My mom's the one who plays the heavy board, right? So hopefully that changes their view.
I had my oldest very young, and it's put me into an interesting perspective with the parents of children who are my oldest son's age, because they tend to be, you know, half a generation or a generation older than me, from a different generation. And they would come to me and say, hey, my kid is doing this thing. Can you relate? Because I'm in that middle, like, or video games, last video games. And I'm gonna be like, you need to like, GTA is not allowed in my house. GTA is not allowed in my house. Okay. Yeah. I know what it is. I will let them play Dragon Age. I understand the social choices they need to make to get to the scenes that I don't want them to get to. And I also know who my children are and that they would never, ever make those choices for for their reasons. And it's so important. And I think parents are starting to get to that. Like, everybody's playing games. All of these kids are playing games. Video games are very mainstream. They're very accessible. Having these consoles are very accessible. Online play is making it very accessible. It's killing my couch co-op, which is a conversation for another day. It makes me want to cry.
Yes.
But I think that parents, like, I can't press it up, like, they would, let me explain to you why you just bought this kid GTA and what the content is in this game. And because some of these parents, when this became very mainstream, are just buying things and relying on maybe ESRB ratings or comparing those to movie ratings. Right. An R-rated movie is not the same as an MA-rated video game. No. And I think that, you know, as more parents kind of take the leap. And see, I think it's all backwards, right? Like, people in my generation above are starting to go backwards and get into this kind of stuff.
Right, because then you're more aware of it. And for me, all my video game consoles, if they're playing video games, I'm right there. We don't do this separately. This is not a separate activity. And that was a lot of the backlash, I think, that came from video games, is like, you know, parents leaving the room or them doing it alone in their bedroom so that you don't know exactly what they're getting into, who they're talking to, if it's a group dynamic, you know, what is happening. And I'm always there. These are not played without my presence. And even if I'm, you know, going to make lunch and coming back, like, they know I'm right there or about to be back. And for many of these games that they're going through that are story-based, they know I'm going to know what they did. Like, I'm aware of this game. I'm going to know where you went if you did, like, so there's going to be that. But that's only, honestly, at this point, And just like you said, I know it may sound naive, but I know the choices in those RPGs that my 13-year-old is going to make is not going to lead to those other alternate places.
Scenes.
So, and I don't want to sound cocky in that, but I do have that kind of knowledge of who my teen is, but also I'm going to know because when I come back in, I'm like, you're not what
I know
how you got here.
You went down.
Yes.
I know where this is coming from.
Exactly.
No, and even I think that's super important because my kids like FPSs, right? They like Call of Duty, they like Gears of War.
Yeah.
Gears of War was kind of iffy for me.
Agreed.
My mother got my son into Gears of War. So like when you're talking
grandma.
When you're talking about who they're playing with, right? Like my kids, that's another super cool thing is like my kids play with my mother who lives in another state.
That is fantastic. Yes.
It's very cool. But yeah, I think knowing about who your kids are, and with back to Minecraft, I thought that was a fantastic game, especially when you're talking about your daughter who's six playing it. Yes. The kids got playing it very young, and I think that the redstone activities in there that teach the foundations of programming are so fantastic. And that too, I never got into Minecraft personally, and my kids are like, "Mommy, if you love Ark Survival Evolved, why don't you play Minecraft? It's the same thing but an 8-bit." Yeah. We'll have a whole different conversation. Yeah. But like I know what the content is for Minecraft, and I think that there's so many educational opportunities in there for the kids to play.
So many. I mean, we went to a museum and this gentleman was trying. He was trying to show like obsidian. He was like, and this is one of the hardest surface, like materials that there is, and they used it to make these arrowheads. I bet you don't know what it is. And my now 13-year-old, I think she was like 8 at the time, is like, that'd be obsidian. You get it by mixing water with lava. And he was like, what? And she's like, I mean, Minecraft? Like, what? She's like, why would I not know this? That's just obvious. And it was so good. And I wanted to be like, yes, I'm an amazing parent. I've taught my kid about obsidian, but I'm like, well, I have, but it was a video game. So yeah, there are benefits to learning this. They know how glass is made. Like they understand these materials because that was part of a video game they played, right? And I feel like that's going to be their memes for the future. Like we have our Oregon Trail memes and lemonade stand memes from like old computer games, and they're going to have their memes of like, you knew you were a gamer when you're 4 years old and you knew how to make obsidian.
I think so. The Oregon Trail, that brings back to another point that I had when you were talking about the older consoles. I've gone back and forth on that idea because I got the NES emulator for one of the holidays, and I picked up like my Mario games. Mm-hmm. Some of these games, I think the nostalgia factor sometimes like makes it. So I'm nervous to introduce my kids to them because I'm like, I love this so much, and there's nostalgia.
But you have to have the actual nostalgia. So I have my Atari 2600, right? So I have my Atari. I have over 100 games for it. And it's great to bring out at parties for 10 minutes. Because everybody's like, oh, my favorite game. I can't wait to see this. Let me get into Indiana Jones. Yeah, I'm going to play this. And then they remember how sticky that joystick is and how they're like, wait, it's not going left. Why isn't it going left? Why isn't it going And that's how you played Atari, right? Like that was part of it. And then you get Pong out, and I also have the Pong, so they're doing that. And they're like, but it's not moving. And there's no adjustment for it. And it's just so 8-bit. It's sad. So it's great, but it's not something you're going to play. And now they're coming out with the Atari emulator, but I'm like, no, I don't see it. I don't see a reason to get the Atari emulator. You're going to play it for like 10 minutes. These games weren't that great. They were just all we had.
It's nostalgia packed. It's nostalgia packed. But you're only going one console generation back, so.
Yes.
Maybe those ones aren't so.
I think I never got SNES. I only got hand-me-downs, which is why I have the older ones more than I have newer ones. But I did get the emulator like you did. And yeah, my kids liked that one. They liked the original NES actually better. It could be me. I'm way more into that because that's what I had. But then I have the Sega too, which somebody made a reference to. I should play Fortnite upside down or Minecraft upside down, because I can actually, my one trick is that I can play Sonic upside down, because muscle memory, I played it so much. So I know. And it impresses kids. It's definitely a thing at parties. I'll go, upside down on the couch and they're like, whoa. It's not, if when you have muscle memory of it, like, it's not that, because you're just, I realized I could do it with my eyes closed.
See
so
it, though.
yeah, there's on Twitter, there's a picture of me. I should get video. But yeah, I can successfully complete levels upside down in Sonic. So yeah, it's my claim to fame. It's a good one. Not going to get rich quick doing that, but yeah. So we've talked top 5 board games of 2020. We've even brought up some video games of 2020. What did you say? It was Ark that has dinosaurs?
Ark Survival Evolved.
Ark Survival. I'm looking this up. I think it's on PS4. Somebody mentioned so.
Yes.
That's happening.
It's much better on PC, but it's it's
well,
PS4.
I am getting a gaming PC. I have to get a higher quality PC because my laptop's just not cutting it, especially for Tabletop Simulator. So maybe I'll wait and do that for the PC.
You get PS4 and then send me a friend request and we can play Ark together.
Yay! This is the best day ever. Yes. All right, we will do this. Awesome. So, all right, let's end with where people can find you and follow you with your amazing work with gaming that people can do with you.
Yes, all about that interactivity. I told you I was upset over the couch co-op.
Yes.
And my mastery of English. We love the interactivity. I'm the kind of person that likes a couch co-op game. This is what happens with live, guys. Like, if this is recorded, y'all would think that I was so much cooler than I actually am. But look at all of the embarrassment I put myself through to go on live TV.
Yes, all for me. I appreciate it.
We love the interactivity. You can catch us Monday nights and Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Twist Gaming. Which probably know my own things URL. You can check me out on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and come join us in our Discord channel. You can get the links to all of that on our Twitch site. Our social medias are either at Twist Gaming or gaming_twist. Love to have you join us in our Discord channel. We're talking all week long about video games. If you hop over to our YouTube channel, you can catch up. I know we talk a lot about the campaign games, you guys playing as a character. If you want to catch up on where we are in gameplay, we do put all of our recorded videos up over on that site there.
Awesome. So yes, I highly recommend, as much as I like these top 5 games coming in 2020, I highly recommend you check out Twist Gaming. What they do is super unique. They've been doing this for 4 years. It's so timely to what we are doing right now with social distancing and staying home and not getting out to as many game nights as we have before. You can join in, kind of get that surrogate for what you're missing and play with Twist Gaming. Some great games. I need you to get Gloomhaven up now. That's my need. I'm going to have to talk to Isaac about that so that I can play some Gloomhaven with y'all, because that would be amazing.
I saw the expansions coming out, and Josh was like, when I was like, all right, let's talk about one. So,
yep.
Let's see.
And as Edward said, give us your thumbs. Please go ahead and hit a thumb for this video. Like it, don't like it, I don't care. Just make one of them blue. Your choice. And then subscribe to the channel so that you can learn about more great content coming up. It is not always going to be announced. There will be super secret content coming out. So if you don't subscribe and hit that bell, you're gonna miss it, and then you're gonna have to catch up after the fact. Unless you're a patron, head all over to the heavycardboard.com, sign up to be a patron from there, and you always will be notified of the content we have coming up as well. And that's it for us. You know me, I'm Board Game Girl on all the social media thingies. You can find me at BoardGame_Girl1 on Twitter, BoardGameGirl1 on Instagram, and Board Game Girl on Facebook. So Thank you all for joining us. That was an amazing, amazing time.
Jess, thank you for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. You're doing really awesome stuff. You really help out the board game industry in so many ways. Keep on doing what you're doing. You are fantastic. I wish Girls Stampede the most success. You're phenomenal. Like I can't say it. Yeah, you're fantastic. But thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for the joy that you bring to people's lives. I love you. I love you.
I love you too. You're not supposed to make me blush. I appreciate it. Thank you so, so much, Anne. All right, take care, y'all. Have a good one. Bye. Oh, that was fun.